makes you think you deserve it.
When you've been working since you were 13, promise mom by everything. Burn so often, fire talking, scars so dark they steal your dreams. Nightmares to the young and clean. Life will wait for some it seems. Pray for days when heaven stays, but you ain't put no work in for the crown. You ain't put no work in for the crown.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Unplugging Podcast, episode number 9. We're redoing this one right here because we had a bad audio. This one's habits that destroy women in the market. Alright, Leo.
Oh yeah. Alright guys, we hope you enjoyed the last episode and such, so we had to record that. But we're live this time. We're definitely live. So as Chris mentioned, episode number 9. Okay, it's a bit of a redo, that's okay. Habits in which destroy women in the market. Alright, let's just kind of jump straight to it. So the first reasoning I have here, okay, and this is for the ladies, alright, at the end of the day, as I've mentioned in basically all the podcasts, our goal is to help improve both sides, okay? But this also includes being realistic, telling the truth, accepting harsh truths, us not sugarcoating anything, alright? So I do understand, Chris and I, we understand there are going to be some things here that are going to be tough to talk about, but that just shows that we have to talk about it because we have to get out, both men and women, we have to get out of our delusions. We have to get out of the what if, the what we want things to be, and focus on the what is, and then work through that pragmatically. So with that being said, okay, we go with number 1 here. No particular order, as usual. I think we'll have an episode where we're ranking things from greatest to worst, or from worst to the most worst, I guess. I don't know. But we'll see where it goes from there. So the first thing I have over here for the ladies here, you guys got to chill out with posting a bunch of stuff on social media, okay? You got to stop obsessing over social media, okay? The reason why I say that is because I've said this even on the last podcast episode. Women, when they use social media, for the most part, is to fabricate some form of status, all right? You have to understand, ladies, men don't care about status from women. They really don't. So I don't get that whole thing right now where we have people, in this case women, who are just trying to find ways to force things down men's throats. If we're telling them we don't want promiscuous women, they're still getting ran through. We tell women that we don't want them to have, type A and type B personalities, and yet they still develop them. Not all of them, of course. And then just expect us to give in to that. We're not going to give into that. Coming into the social media aspect, this was kind of something I explained in one of the other episodes too. Like, in this particular case, as I mentioned before, you can tell a lot by the contents by a woman's purse, right? By a woman, by the contents of her purse. But you can tell even more by seeing the contents of her Instagram. And I've said this before, women are not very good at keeping secrets. They're really not. In this particular case, you can really see they're not. When it comes to the post, you're going to see how narcissistic some women are when it comes to posting, right? Lots of selfies, lots of body shots, revealing skin, lots of swimsuits. You see them in the many extravagant places. You see them in exotic places too. So they're trying to show off some sort of glamorous lifestyle. But for the most part, believe it or not, some of them don't even pay for those trips. This is for the gentlemen. Just understand, like, a lot of trips that women go to, especially if it's like super high glamorous and expensive places, and you kind of know who they are, and you know they don't make that much money to begin with, chances are it's being paid for by somebody else. Just saying. And even so, when you're vetting, this is for the gentlemen, when you guys are vetting, it's pretty easy. It's very, very easy to just see who the person is just by looking at the contents of her Instagram, who she hangs out with, check her patterns, where she's been through, where she's gone, how she edits her pictures. Because I've even said this before, when you're vetting a woman as well, and you're trying to see if she has a little bit of a past, you can still see some of it, definitely see some of it through her Instagram photos, and then just seeing, like, okay, how many partners has this woman possibly been with? And just seeing how she edits her photos, like, you can see that she's probably with a crowd of people, but you could see in some pictures she edits certain portions of the picture out. Why? That's a whole mystery. And then on top of that, like I mentioned with one of my red flag videos, who's taking the pictures? So there's too much. There's a little too much going on from there. And when it comes to even the followers, I've said that, I'm not going to repeat myself, like look who she follows to see who she's really into, and she becomes more of a fan when she's following people who she doesn't even know. And this is kind of with what I told men as well from my things that men need to stop doing as well, is to stop following girls that you don't know. And this is the same thing for women. Stop following guys who you don't know, because you just look like a fan. And then when that guy who you're following, a particular guy, let's say maybe he is high value, but you just happen to find him scrolling through your search menu because of recommendations, because of what you watch most of the time, and you friend him, and this guy just happens to be at a mall, you're probably going to throw yourself on this guy at an opportunity, because like I mentioned before, women love conditionally and opportunistically. So when they have that opportunity, there's a big chance they're not going to pass that up. They're just not, even if it's at the expense of a guy who they feel that they could just do better. It's true. If they feel they could do better from a guy, they often will. And when they see opportunities like that, that's what they'll do. But now, in this portion, I'll hop on to like a subcategory here with the social media, is ladies, I highly recommend you keep your profiles on private. Highly recommend that. Even if the guy who's vetting you, if you friend him or whatnot, at least he sees that, okay, not everybody can see who this person is. Because as I mentioned before, men like women who are low-key, not all over the place where thousands of men or billions of people know who they are. Because, trust me, like I've seen this happen even with some guy friends where I'll go out, this is even with like past exes I've had, and they, we have friends, and what they'll do is that I've seen this one girl who she was with a guy, and then guys were like, saying hi to her a lot. Hey, what's up? How you been? And she's all, flirty with them and entertaining them. So it's like, what did you do with this guy? You know what I mean? Like you're a little too friendly with this guy. You're a little too this. You're a little too that. And just her being too social. That's like a little red flag to add on this one. She's overall too social with people. When she's too open, too social with people like that, especially due to you don't even know who these people are, but she happens to know. So when you see she just knows so many people like that, why? Why? What is she doing that she's having all these people who she doesn't even have like real networkings with? They just happen to know her and say, hi, how you been, this and that. There might have been something there with some of those guys. So keep that in mind, gentlemen. This is for the gentlemen. And if you're getting with somebody, if a woman is completing or is getting into the vetting process, and then the woman happens to ask the question, ladies, this is for you. Be prepared for men, and men, I highly encourage you to do this, because again, like your goal is, if you're choosing her because she's chosen you, you need to ensure she takes that for sale sign off. How do you take that for sale sign off? You tell her, okay, look, this is where the line in the sand is drawn. You're not going to say that verbatimly, of course, but you just pretty much go over to her and you just say, look, these photos, the thing is, like, I like you, but you open up her Instagram from there. Okay, this is how you truly set the line. Okay, when you draw the line in the sand, gentlemen, this is how you do it. Okay, but going through your Instagram, what's this picture? It's like a bikini shot with her, and what are all these like sexy photos of yourself? Yeah, like, do you have an overabundancy of them? What's going on with that? What's up with that? And then on top of that, you mentioned, like, who are these guys? Who are these guys who are like constantly hitting you up on your likes and comments? I'm seeing this guy is like, hey, you looking sexy, and then I see you commenting right back, oh, thank you, love ya, and things like that. Like, what's up with that? You know what I mean? And you tell her, I just can't take a girl serious who's doing this. Like, what's up with you trying to expose yourself to the world like that? What's up with you thirst trapping men? Why do you feel like you need attention and validation from people who you don't even know like that? Why? So the ball's back in her court now. So if she starts giving you pushback on that, that's when you know, okay, you probably should cut her off. There's no silver lining. She's going to be a headache for you. She's not willing to give up free attention, free validation. Easy, by the way, very easy. It's a piece of technology she has in the palm of her hands. Okay, if she's not willing to give that up, she is having FOMO for artificial attention and validation, something that's not real. She's willing to have fake options than have a real option that's right in front of her that can possibly be a good guy, a really good guy, or the guy. And she doesn't have FOMO for you. She has FOMO for this. Okay? So that's definitely something for the ladies and for the men. Okay? Understand, like, we're gonna go deeper into this so that way it all correlates, but just understand, like, that's part of the vetting process as well. If she's not willing to give up bad behaviors, bad habits, and also cut her orbiters, as we mentioned in one of our other videos, she's going to be a headache for you. She's not going to be loyal to you. She's going to find ways to go around, get more male attention and male attention and validation. It's not going to work. I'm going to give it to you straight. It's not going to work. And this piece of technology, speaking of this, gentlemen, this modern piece of technology is the golden ticket, believe it or not, for women to easily betray men. And as I mentioned even in our last video, Chris was the one who brought it up actually, you have the right to check her phone. You 100% do. Okay? The moment you feel something's off, now obviously don't give her some announcement that you're gonna check her phone like every 5 days, because now you're giving her a routine to be like, okay, let me just clear this off so that way he doesn't see it. On the spot, just tell her, hey baby, let me see your phone. And of course if she goes, oh, why not? Okay, she's hiding something. She's definitely hiding something. Or if she starts to shame you for it, she's definitely hiding something. Real feminine women, they'll just be like, okay, here you go, unlocked as well. And then from there you see if something's up, and if something's not up, all right. Personally for me, if she said, okay, here, take it, chances are I'm probably not going to. Is okay, the fact that she was willingly allowing me to check her phone, okay, that's okay. That's okay. The fact that actions speak louder than words. Just remember that. Right? Just remember that. So that pretty much wraps up, at least for the first point. But the other thing I want to bring up here, actually, before we wrap this one up, Chris, there's a nice little study here. It's called "Women Manage Their Emotions Through Social Media." It's one of the more recent ones.
Let's see. They manage their emotions through social media.
Yeah. Yep. And while he's pulling that up and such, so.
Let's see. Okay. Give me 1 second here.
Thanks.
I gotta make sure. I forgot to update the video sharing here, so I might have to do this quick.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, while he's doing that here.
Give me 1 second, guys.
Yeah, we'll go on here and such. So again, guys, like for the ladies, again, men don't care about a woman's status. We just don't. Okay, because at the end of the day, as we mentioned, men want a woman who's going to not be promiscuous, who's not all over the place, where men are constantly trying to hit her up, and like that's not status for us. That's just not. You're trying to fabricate some sort of status.
Problems.
I'm sorry.
No, keep going.
To basically just get free attention and validation. And the fact is, like, gentlemen, now that I brought that up, the free attention and validation, while Chris is pulling this up, you have to challenge women. You have to challenge them. You have to give them challenge. When women see that, like this, how easy it is for them to get attention and validation, that's not a challenge for them. That's absolutely not a challenge for them. So the challenge is, if you're going to ask a woman out on a date, and you'd be surprised how many women are just shocked out of their minds that someone organically is asking them out. All right, just shocking to them. But the fact that you're doing that and you're making your time scarce, you're not putting her on a pedestal, you're not making her feel like she's so important, that's a challenge for her, because you're basically letting her know, okay, that if I'm going to go somewhere, or if he's going to give me dinner or take me to like an experience place, a place for experience, I have to work and show him that I am worth his time. All right, so that's we'll bring that up in a video.
Okay, we're good
in the future, because I want to get onto this one here. But remember, men, you got to be a challenge to them. Okay, women will take anything the easy route as long as they can. But when you get the challenge, believe me, a lot of them, they'll take the challenge. If they really like you and they're like, ooh, I really like this guy, I want him, they'll take the challenge. They will. But now with this one here, with the social media. So another thing, guys, we're going to attack this point a little bit more with some psychology, okay? So as I mentioned before, in a robust amount of times at this point, women want attention, validation, and experiences. But at the same time, in order for them to be consistent with it, there has to be reputation management. How are they going to manage their reputation through social media, you're probably wondering? Excellent question, my wonderful viewers. Excellent question. Through our highlight right here. And we can see on the left, this was published not too long ago, December 13th of 2023. But just the highlight alone, the findings reveal that emotional expression serves as a primary motivation and purpose for users to sustain their engagement with social media. Additionally, emotional masking represents a proactive operational behavior induced by the needs for social relationship maintenance and the accumulation of social capital. Let's break that down just a little bit here. So, as I mentioned, okay, even what this is mentioning, the masking, if women feel that they're having a bit of a rough time, and most of the time, instead of them going to their girlfriends, and quite frankly, a lot of them don't even go for their girlfriends because they know they're not going to give them real advice, or even men that give real pragmatic advice for the most part, what do they tend to do? People in general, this isn't even just women, but both men and women, people in general take the path of least resistance. In this case, this is the path of least resistance. So, to give them reassurance and to give them comfort, this is what emotional masking is. So they'll take little pictures of themselves in a mirror, they get all dressed up, and then they want to look cute. But instead of them doing it proactively for themselves and just looking at themselves in the mirror and then just playing dress up with themselves and just saying, hey, look, I look really sexy. I got it. You know, I know men like me. I know. And I'm sure. I'm very, very sure. Instead of doing that way, you go on your phones and start taking pictures, massive amounts and abundance of pictures, and then you post them. And then when men are getting thirst trapped, and then the girlfriends are to say, damn girl, you looking good today, go get them. And then the guys, you know, showing their comments like, damn, you so fine, can I hit that, whatever. That's emotional masking. So you know you're upset about something. You're probably a little depressed. Maybe you're going through a little of a breakup. So you're masking your true emotions by looking pretty and looking happy like oh, you had a good date to your in front of your camera, and then you're showing the public a false image of yourself of how you really are at the moment. So now, of course, you're going to feel good because you're lying to the public. You're lying to them about how you're looking, how you're feeling, but you're really sad, and now you're feeling better because you're getting that validation, that attention from people who don't even know you for the most part. That would be emotional masking. The other thing here is a social capital, and we mentioned that in the attempt for this video. The social capital basically is, think of it like how men, and even like people who are into business, like they're truly networking. And a saying I learned not too long ago from a conference is, your network is your net worth. Okay, and I mentioned that we are going to be making some videos in the future when it comes to how to be better in business and making money, things like that. There's a sneak peek for you guys, a saying right there. Your network is your net worth. This social capital is a false pretense of a network. This isn't real. So what the woman is doing, if she's doing the social masking, is, and even men do this too, by the way, but we're just talking about in this particular because women tend to use social media for attention validation more. When they're doing this, their network, okay, is just a network of men who are thirsty, women who are going to big her up wrongfully. That's the social network that she has. There's no worth in that, because the moment she puts a picture of herself with another guy or she stops posting, all that goes away. So it's not tangible. It's not real, okay? So that's really something I wanted to bring up there. So men, this is for you guys. Like, real feminine women will go to their men, their father, older brothers, uncles, their husbands, spouses, their boyfriends, and really try to get things through if something is bothering them. Not this. This is a cop-out. This is an escape. Don't be the person who looks for the path of least resistance, the cop-out, the easy way out. Don't do that. And men will find out. We'll find out what you're doing, especially if we have you on Instagram and other social media. Come on. So that wraps it up 100% for the number 1 point here. All right. So we're done with that, Chris. Excellent. Moving on to our next point.
There's nothing down here?
There's nothing down there. Yeah, I mean, this is access to everybody who's going to be on the Discord. So if you guys want to read a little bit more on that, the main points I wanted to highlight were just in the abstract. And a lot of the stuff that we touch on anyway is going to be on the abstracts. It's a long one. It's like 30 pages.
All right.
It's like 30 pages. So 29? Okay, it's 29. Yeah, so it's a big one. It's a relatively big one. So
okay.
You have the autonomy, guys, to pretty much look at those yourselves if you'd like to. All right. Moving on to point number 2 here. This is for the ladies once again, okay? Stop blaming everyone, everything that doesn't exist, your books, on things that are entirely your fault. Okay? Accountability. See, accountability is...
That's what, like, honestly triggers me the most, I think.
No, there's a red flag for Chris right there.
They never take blame for anything they do. They always point fingers at you. It's always your fault when they break up or something. You know, it's never them. You know, it's whatever. Go ahead.
I've definitely seen some women who definitely do take accountability. It's possible. It definitely is.
Rare.
But yeah, it's those rare cases where it's like a gem, a diamond in the rough right there. It's like, wow, she's actually taking responsibility. So where am I going with this, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, so of course, just the whole point itself isn't enough. I got to give you some emphasis, all right? So here's what I mean by this. So you got to understand, taking accountability and just understanding that it's okay that something went wrong in your favor, or not in your favor, I'm sorry. It's okay to admit when things didn't go your way. You did something wrong, but at the end of the day, just remember, whatever happened, any action that's been done, and it involved you in some way, you are part of the equation, no matter what. You can't just take yourself out of the equation conveniently and just be like, oh, it's not my fault. But it is. You were part of the situation in some way, some shape or form. You were part of that. And then the point Chris was making here is, check it out, gentlemen. If a woman starts pointing fingers at you, okay, a lot of things are going on. She could be projecting. Dr. Cervantes, hello, welcome, my man. Appreciate you joining in. They could be projecting. I'm not going to get too much into that. We're going to get into a future video on, I won't explain the title. I already have that planned out. I'll also keep that a surprise. Projecting, it could be because they can't get over certain things and they're trying to find somebody to blame, or it's baggage, it's mental baggage that they're carrying, maybe a trauma from the past, and it's kind of just being dunked on you. But in this case, if she starts pointing a finger at you, she points one finger, it's going to somebody. But check this out. If you notice something, where are my other three fingers here? That's not my thumb. Where are they pointing? To me. They point back at the person. They point back at the person who's pointing their first initial finger here, okay? So the index finger, okay, going with the pinky, the middle finger, and the ring finger, all right, pointing back at. So you're here, you gotta wonder what's going on here, okay? Because you're pointing something at me. Why are you projecting? Why are you deflecting? Like, what's the case here? Especially if the man doesn't even know what's going on, all right? The person, this is the guy who got me into the whole red pill, the manosphere, and trying to help you guys out. His name's Richard Cooper. Awesome guy. I'll never forget this part. The three fingers. So she's blaming somebody, but she has three other fingers pointing to blame back at her. All right? So that will show you immediately, just that little analogy right there, even a metaphor, is just, she's just as responsible, even more responsible, depending on what it is, for something that's happening. So be wary of that. Be very, very wary of that. And, you know, even with this one here, so you gotta, accountability just has to be taken here. But the thing is that if men start making issues, or if we make a mistake, the world already punishes us for making mistakes. We're either ostracized, we're made a fool of, we're laughed at, we're embarrassed, we're put on social media, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's no mercy for us. Like, we have to take accountability for basically anything that happens to us, no matter what. And if we try to point fingers and we try to blame other people, we're going to look really bad. Because as the man, guess what? As I've said in our past videos, we, us, we are the stoic ones. We are the ones who are supposed to be problem solvers. We are the ones with higher emotional intelligence. So how does it look when we're spazzing out, when we're acting out, complaining, and it looks like we're just wobbling around the floor like a toddler? How does that look for us? It looks really bad, doesn't it? Doesn't it? And society really shames us for that. And quite frankly, when it's the other way around, when women start to act out and yell and scream, no one really holds them accountable. They just kind of let them be and leave them to their own devices. And I think we need to put a stop to that, to be honest with you. If a woman starts to act up, man, you need to put your foot down and tell her you are not behaving this way. You see that door over there? One way out and one way in. That's what I say. You guys can steal that from me. See that door? One way out, no way back in. Just remember that. You got to keep him in check. Keep him in check, because if the woman sees that she could start misbehaving and start mistreating you and even cursing at you, like, no one's gonna curse at me. I'll tell you that right now. She starts cursing at me. You curse at me one more time, you're definitely out of the picture. I'm not even dealing with you, because again, guys, I tell you guys to argue with them. You are the superior. You are the leader. You are the one who is going to be the one providing, as you should, okay? When you start arguing, okay, now she feels that she's equal to you, all right? You cannot do that. That's when women feel that they're better than you. That's when they start feeling they can do better, and then they start dismissing themselves from the relationship. That cannot happen. That just cannot happen. You guys got to keep your ground, keep your footing on the ground, because what I'm noticing is that men don't know how to say no. That's a sign of a weak man. A weak man who doesn't know how to say no to a woman, not just his woman, but doesn't know. It's a big problem. That's a very, very big problem. We're going to have a future video on that, actually, signs of weak men. So be ready for that one, guys, okay? Let's pull up this study here on women blame menopause. Let's put a study on that.
Let's see.
And this is kind of going back to my last video. I think it was the last video, I'm not too sure.
You got the study?
It is women blame menopause.
Oh, I see it.
So, and as I said before in one of the past videos, when you have women who believe, and not just women, it's men too, but when you have people who believe in astrology and zodiac signs and all this stuff that in which they can kind of escape from bad behavior, this is also something else, menopause. So really quick on this one, I found this really interesting survey here, as a matter of fact. We can go back to the top, actually.
Top?
Yeah, because I have some highlights there. So, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, like, you got to take accountability. And when we find ways through astrology, through angelic numbers, zodiac signs to try to excuse us from our bad behavior, trust me, that's not going to take you very far. So why did I bring this up? This goes on top of the other things I mentioned. Hormonal issues, okay? Hormonal issues and menopause. So this one's interesting. So many women blame menopause for marriage problems, okay? This highlight here, only a third of all the women surveyed said they had been offered treatment to relieve their symptoms. Many of the others said that if they had been offered treatment, it might have saved their marriage. Can you believe that? Like, besides all this other stuff about not holding themselves accountable, the hormonal issues and the zodiac signs and angelic numbers to determine their behavior patterns and their mood, look at this. That's how serious it gets. So, ladies, I beg you, I'm at this point, like, please, work things out. Go to your guys, okay, your boyfriend, your husband, a father, somebody, talk to them. Talk to them on how to manage through things. I know in your mind, oh, but it's menopause. Isn't that a woman thing? Yeah, I get that. But when it comes to going through emotional trauma and problems and how to get through it, men are usually the ones who are going to get you out of it. And kind of going down here and such, this is kind of the results here. We can see here 7 in 10 women blame the menopause for their divorce or marriage problems, with some saying it has increased arguments, or domestic abuse, according to a new survey. And this is menopause.
Interesting.
7 out of 10 blame menopause for their marriage problems, for arguments, and even domestic abuse. I don't even know what to say to that, to be honest with you. Like, we're already dealing with a pandemic of single motherhood. We're dealing with the pandemic of divorces happening 50 to 56% of the time. And now we're adding this on top of it. It's not great. It's just not great. And then going more than 1,000, oh, sorry, go up a little bit, there's another highlight. More than 1,000 women took part in the survey. Great sample size. For the Family Law Menopause Project and Newson Health Research and Education. That was just a little bit to see where the study was coming from. Coming down a little bit, we can kind of see some of the results here. Of those who took HRT, that's the hormone replacement therapy, 65% said it had a positive effect. But most of the women who were not offered support or treatment said that if they had been, it might have saved their marriage. So ladies,
Find help.
Get on the hormone replacement therapy to save the marriage. All right? Again, I'm not making this up. It says here, okay? Like, if you guys want to have a more healthy marriage and keep things going and not have hormonal issues, and then you're dunking things and problems on the man, like, there's only so much we're going to be able to take, okay? And on top of that, it even said domestic violence. And this coming from them, from the women. It's not coming from the guys. From this implying it's from the women. So be careful with that. Be very, very careful with that. This is for you gentlemen, okay? Be very careful with that. That's gonna be on a future video where it's like, try to avoid inherently violent women. If you see that she's kind of violent, doesn't handle situations well, you might want to start thinking about writing her off a little bit, all right? So that's that. Yes, it's a bit of a discomforting truth even for me. I'm going to be honest with you, because it's like they're going to go through menopause.
Right.
They're going to go through that. Oh, we have additional highlights here. Let's see. A woman's memory. Look at that. Oh, I forgot. Thank you for scrolling down, actually. We were about to skip this part. This one's actually important. Actually really good. A woman's memory changes at menopause. It's kind of interesting. Those symptoms include difficulty remembering words and numbers, disruptions in daily life such as misplacing items like keys, trouble concentrating, absent-mindedness, losing a train of thought, being more easily distracted, difficulty switching between tasks, and forgetting appointments and events. Memory complaints may be caused by rising and falling hormone levels. Oh yeah, guys.
Brain fog. It's common.
That's a common thing. I don't think I have anything else highlighted, but again, guys, like this is for you guys. This is for the ladies too, okay?
Yeah.
This is for the both of you, both men and female. We're giving you this, again, this is a collective database for you guys to be aware. We are not here to make anybody look bad here, all right? We just have to say everything in objective facts. This is what it is. You might say that some of the things we say are a little opinionated, which is okay, that's fine. But we're going off more science, we're going off statistics, we're going off generalities, and we might throw in some empiricals here and there, but just understand, like, a lot of things that are mentioned here is backed up by evidence, all right? So take it for what you will. Take it exactly for what you will. If you find that this is not useful for you, that's totally fine. But just understand, if there's ever a time where you guys need help with something, we're here. This is it. This is here for you guys. Whenever you have time, access it. That's pretty much it for that one. Very good, very good. And now moving forward, we're going into number 3. Oh, this one, I despise this one actually. Just me even remembering and reading through my notes here is
The one that pisses you off the most?
Yeah, this one really does actually.
Okay, mine's accountability. What is yours?
Yours is accountability. All right. Well, mine's accountability also. Mine is accountability as well, for sure. But it's
okay.
But we're going through more like the general stuff. But accountability, it's a plague. That's a plague for most women, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The diamond in the rough. So number 3 here, ladies. I gotta crack a smile here and even laugh. Stop shaming men for their preferences, their standards, and what they find desirable in women. All right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and here's the thing about it, too. Women have way more standards and preferences than men do. Way more. They have a whole checklist that goes all the way to China. But for us, we're very simple. We're extremely simple in comparison. Like, we are the total opposite when it comes to what we find, in volume at least, desirable. All right? So...
Yeah, the difference is we accept it, you know, us men, we're the standards, but then when we have standards, they pretty much shame us, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, see, and the thing is that we don't think of shaming tactics either. We don't have shame words for women. We really don't. When it comes to desirability, we don't. And we haven't evolved out of that. Like, I highly encourage you guys, I know I sound like a bit of a broken record when I bring up evolutionary psychology. I highly encourage you guys at some point read up some studies on paleontology, mating strategies, how it was back in the day when it comes to nomadic times. I'm going to make an episode about that actually, so we can see what the hardwiring is. But the hardwiring of that doesn't change. I've always said from past episodes, you cannot argue desire. Desire is not something that's negotiable. Meaning, if a woman who's in her 20s, and we've even shown a study already on what women in like their peaking years from 18 to 24 years old, what they like, how foolish would I look, or Chris or any other man, going up to a girl, any girl within that range, or even past that. Your girls, sometimes they don't change their hypergamous strategies, but they're gonna go ahead and look at us like we've got 10 heads Like if you ask a girl, oh, why do you want a man who's going to provide for you? Why do you want a guy who's muscular or fit? Why do you want a guy who takes care of himself? Why do you want a guy who is an influencer and is desirable by other women? Like, well, why do you want that? She's going to look at you and just be like, bye. She's not even gonna take the time to explain why. She's just gonna walk away from you and that's it. but the thing too, that's not the case the other way around. When we decide to say what we want in women, at least if we're looking for traditional values, they think of all the shaming tactics.
Yeah.
Let's name a few. Why not? Let's name a few.
Okay.
Little dick energy. That's one, right?
Yeah.
Let me see. Thinking of something else here. There's that. They'll say we're insecure. They'll probably say that. Oh, you're intimidated. You're intimidated by a boss, babe. That's another one. That's a recent one, actually. Somewhat recent.
That's a big one. That's really big.
You're intimidated by alpha women.
Yeah.
Give me a break. Come on. You're intimidated by the alpha women. You got that. The soy boy. Oh, the soy boys. Yeah, the soy boys. That's another one there. So check this out. Oh, actually, that's a little comment here. Money Machamp. All right, let's see what you got. Most women don't pay for their trips, especially these flight. They carry on like they're celebrities. Yeah, of course, man. I mentioned that. They don't. Like, especially if you know, like, what their lifestyles are, and then we do the same thing. You know how I said it in one of the podcasts where if you tell that you're professional, women are going to Google what you do. They want to know what the net salary is and be like, okay, is this guy make money? They're going to do it. They're going to do it, and that's fine. That's totally fine. I'm not shaming.
Google it.
And you see, I'm not even shaming women for doing that. I accept that. And again, that's a security measure for them. I've always said, it's not a glitch. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It's a security feature so women don't choose wrong. They have the right to not choose wrong. But the same right for you ladies goes to us as well. We have the right to have desires, and we have the right to choose carefully as well. Okay, so yeah, that's something right there. the most women don't pay for their trips. Yeah, they really don't, man. They really don't. Most of them, not all, of course. Most. But I got a little story here to kind of go with this point and such. I'll try to be quick with this one.
All right.
So I had a little conversation with an acquaintance of mine. Former acquaintance. We had some friends. We went out, hung out, and I went inside one of my buddies' house just to get a drink. And apparently there was like a little commotion going outside, and I didn't know what it was. There was kind of yelling, not really like hard yelling, but like it sounded argumentative.
Like your friend's family or what?
Yeah, it was like friends' family and such. I had some cousins and things like that, and they had some friends also who come in, but they kind of knew like what I do and things like that, like how I feel about certain things. So that was cool, right? So I go in, and then one of my buddies comes up. He goes, Leo, thank goodness you're here. Like you gotta talk to them. Talk to who? What's going on? It's like you'll know. Just come. And then one of the girls, so, she's a cool girl. She comes up to me, and the guys were like, okay, tell her what? Let me just find out what's going on. So I say, okay, what's up? She goes, okay, well we're debating right now about that. Some of the girls versus it's like a girl versus guy thing. And I say, all right, I'm gonna draw this bridge here. Watch me do this. Right. So she just goes, okay, we think it's insecure for a man to not let us go out where we want, like clubbing and things like that, and traveling, things like that, when we just want to have time for ourselves. And I said, okay, is that it? I let her speak, because they want to be heard. And this is probably my sales pitches coming on, where I was like, okay, you gotta let people talk, they like to be heard. Yeah. So I said, okay, let her finish her point. I said, okay, so let me steel man this. I'm gonna steel man it because I want to make sure I understand her point from my perspective. So let me get this straight. You're saying it's insecure for a man to stop his woman from becoming a whore. You're saying that it's insecure for him protecting his woman from putting herself in precarious situations in the darkest parts of Miami, in not so great places where he's not around to protect her from danger, and from her basically putting herself in a place where men are going to throw themselves on her. And she's probably going to entice the idea as well, especially because she likes going to those places possibly. And she's going with potentially other women who are single and are in her ear telling her, oh, look, we're here. Like, your man's not here. He's not going to say anything. If a guy comes up to you, okay, whatever, let him flirt with you a little bit. We're just here to have fun, Yeah. And these are probably the ones that talk crap about their guys behind their backs as well. Right? And I've even said in my video, like, you got to dump those types of friends. And I said, is that your statement? And then she goes, wow, I mean, that's not how I said it, but is that your statement? I repeated myself, is that your statement? Am I a little concrete with that? She's like, okay, fine, I guess, fine. Okay, let's just, for argument's sake, let's just say it's that. So then I said, okay, so you think it's insecure when men are protecting their women, and so that way it secures the relationship. It makes it strong and healthy and stops her from generating bad habits. Okay, you think it's insecure when men do that. So if you think men are insecure for doing that, then you must also believe that women are insecure for hiding their body counts when a man asks them. Right? And you should, her reaction, oh man, I'll never forget her reaction. She's like, no, that's different. Really? So you think women lying to their men or a potential mate, so that way she covers up her reputation. This is where the reputation management comes in. So she's managing her reputation so she doesn't feel that she's losing her shot, losing her chance with the guy because of the fear of being judged by her past. And I've said this before, men are judged for their futures and women are judged for their past. And men overtly state and think that they don't want promiscuous women. They don't want women sleeping around with other guys. And we've already shown studies. In fact, I have another study. We're going to pull that up now, actually. And I told him, well, I'll tell you right now. I don't want to lose my train of thought here, but it's like, this is how men mate select. Women mate select differently. So the fact that you're going to tell me that it's insecure for men protecting their women from danger and for them losing potential to stay in the relationship, for the man to choose them ultimately for being the mother of their children and paternity, and you're going to tell me it's not insecure for women being solipsistic, being selfish, and destroying the man's mate selecting strategies, skewing it to mask yourself, to make yourself look good for him, but in reality he's probably going to find out based off your behaviors? Come on, guys. Come on, wake up a little bit. So, kind of ending that story there, that was an interesting one. So I convinced her, and she overall didn't like it. She didn't like how I was countering her argument, basically. Even the girls were kind of like, whatever. It's like, hey,
because you're right, you know.
Hey, look, I'm telling you, like, if you girls want to go ahead and sleep around and do whatever, that's fine. You have the full autonomy to do it, but just don't expect men to take you serious. That's just how it is. That's how it is. So let's pull up this study, actually. And this, I'm gonna prove to you guys again. This is how men mate select. All right. Another way how mate selection works. This study is called, oh my goodness, Married Women and Cheating, somewhere around there. It's one of the more recent ones from our Discord.
Is it hold on.
I'll tell you right now.
Body count and married women?
That might be the one actually. Yeah, it's an X-link. Yes, it's this one. All right, gentlemen and ladies, I'm going to show you something here, okay? So ladies, look. Again, men don't and shouldn't question desire from women. We shouldn't, because this is why I tell men, like, you guys got to understand women to a certain degree, okay? But one of the things for sure is you cannot argue with them when it comes to desire. So we're there, they tell us they want provision, they want security, they want a masculine man, a masculine figure. They want all that stuff. They want more. They want a guy who's charismatic, who's an influencer, who's got game, who's attracted to other women, who men want to be him. They want so many things. And on top of that, they want the guy to be monogamous. And it's like, all right, that's a lot. That's kind of a lot to ask for. Here's my response if I tell a woman, I'm looking for purity, I'm looking for a woman who's a virgin, and she asks me this question, why do you want a virgin?
Why, Leo? Why do you want one?
I scratch my head when I'm asked that question, honestly. Because in my head, it's like, you should just know. Women need to just get it, to be honest with you. So kind of going here, here's my response to that question. Looking at this here, from the General Social Survey, okay, we have a number of male sexual partners when married women were analyzed. And over 7,000 participants were in this study. 7,000! That's a lot! So many! And we can kind of see here, total male sex partners ever cheated, we have no, and for the number is 6,790, okay, and then for yes on the 736. Now we have the mean, if we scroll down a little bit more, we have a description of what this means here. The average number of male sexual partners for married women who cheated on their husbands was 2.3 times higher than those who did not. Check that out. My goodness. We'll read that again. The average number of male sexual partners for married women who cheated on their husbands was 2.3 times higher. 2.3 times higher than those who did not. That's insane. Absolutely insane to me right there. And if we're kind of scrolling down a little bit more, we can see some more numbers here on where I'm coming from. Here. Sorry about this little boot mark. The X wasn't too nice to me on this one. So coming down a little bit more here, this chart right here, this is the only highlight that we can kind of show here and such. Yeah, so check this out. And kind of looking at the graph here. So as I've mentioned, gentlemen, all right, with one sexual partner, when a woman who's married, okay, if she's been with one partner, it's 1.90%, and then it's just the likelihood of her cheating is very low. But if we look at the 2 to 4 partners, and then we look at the first highlight from the hyphens here, the PowerPoints, it is 6 times. Women who have 2 to 4 partners, between 2 and 4 partners, they are 6 times higher to cheat between 2 and 4 partners.
That's crazy.
How insane is that? Like, and you think it gets better from there? No, it gets worse. So when she's been with 5 and 10 partners, 9.47 times higher. 11 to 20, 14.005, 14 times higher. Yeah, look at that.
These percentages are way too high for me, bro.
Yeah. And you can look at the percentages, but the ones all the way right is a multiplier. It's times. So they are 14.05 times higher to cheat. Okay? And then finally, greater than 20 partners, 16.05 times higher with 20 and greater partners. So, gentlemen.
Don't even look at this.
Gentlemen, here it is. When a woman asks you, why do you want a virgin? Here's why. Here is why. Like, we shouldn't even have to explain this. Like, me popping this up for you guys, we shouldn't even have to explain it this far. We just shouldn't. Ladies, men, if they are serious about their vetting process, they want purity. If you're gonna find men, okay? You're gonna find men who are beta males, who have nothing to offer, not too much going for them, and they're like at the bottom of the barrel. They're gonna take whatever they can. Yep. So them asking for purity, them asking for this model-looking woman, Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola bottle of a woman, the chances of them getting it are very low. They don't have that negotiation power. There's no value that they can bring, for the most part. They can bring some, but not compared to a higher value men that women fight tooth and nail for. So men do settle. But these are usually the men who you don't want. And then I've mentioned before, the older women become, their hypergamous strategies have to change. Men are consistent with their strategies. If they say they want a woman, they want to have a woman with like blue eyes, brunette hair, skinny, waist, hip to waist ratio is good. They're pretty consistent on that for the most part. It doesn't change much, at least when it comes to who they want to marry up. But with women, no, it's different. It's different every single time because they start changing from alpha traits, wanting alpha traits, to beta traits. So be aware of that, guys. So ladies, this is for you. I've given you the answer. This is your answer. This isn't just my answer. This is men's answer, okay? And you're going to probably argue and say, oh, but I've met men who don't really want that. Yeah, but these are probably men who can't afford that. These are men who can't give.
Well said. Mm-hmm.
They can't give back to women who have purity. They can't. Women are smart. You guys are really smart. You know, you're very good at selecting partners. I think even though men will argue and say they're not very good at selecting partners, it depends. It'll depend, but I personally think when it really matters, when it boils down to it, if the world was coming to an end and then women needed to really pick somebody who's going to take care of them, you best believe their hypergamous strategies will kick in. It'll kick into its peak. Let's see here. You got another comment here. Most women don't justify the type of men they choose because it can always change depending on the trend. Women let the world tell them who to date. They don't want the men that raise them. Well, yeah, that's a good point. That's definitely a good point.
It's true. What they see in social media and stuff like that, it can influence what they want. But at the end, it always comes back to their hardwire of like what they want, though.
No, of course, absolutely. Like there's never going to be, I think, a hard debate on what women at the very end of the day will truly want. Even if they don't end up with, like, let's say, a guy from an ethnic group, as long as he's able to fulfill her hard wirings, she'll most likely pick those types of guys. Let's say it's like a guy who's maybe not that much in shape, but he's a cool guy, he provides, he gives security, he's an influencer, he can raise her status up, and he's basically giving her the life and experiences and knows how to emotionally stimulate her.
Right.
She might not pass that up. She'll say, well, he doesn't look that great body-wise, but he's about to give me this life. So there's the opportunistic.
Right.
There's the opportunity that she's probably not going to pass up unless she has other opportunities in which come up. But that's already a tough gig to give up, honestly. So but good point, Money. Good. That's definitely a good point. Women are chameleons. Like, they'll adapt to whatever the trends are. Always. They have to, because they don't want to feel ostracized. They don't want to feel left out. And the FOMO really kicks in. Yeah. And I say to men, and this is for you, you want women to have FOMO for you, not FOMO for all these extrinsic, not so important, extravagant things that they can kind of get at any time, especially when they can get it with a man, with the man, all right? So we're kind of wrapping that up here. Is there anything else here? I think the conclusion was going to tell us something here.
Oh, you want to go back to the...
Yeah, I think the conclusion. I didn't highlight it, but just kind of want to look at that real quick. So the results of this analysis show statistically significant differences with the mean number of male sexual partners in married women and the prevalence of cheating on their husbands. Each interval increase in the number of partners increases the odds of cheating by several-fold. So what does that tell you, gentlemen? The number one indicator of a woman who's either going to cheat on you or has a high probability of cheating on you is her past when it comes to partners. You heard it here. You heard it here from the Unplugging. That is how you know. So yes, you do have the right to know how many partners she's been with. Yes, if she gets defensive about it, you should probably start marking in your book, ooh, red flag, she's hiding things, all right? Because at the end of the day, gentlemen, are you going to marry somebody who's been with 50 guys? Are you going to marry somebody who shows qualities that disqualify them from being a parent, from being a good mother? You marry a woman who's been a prostitute or is being promiscuous, and you're married to her? The mother of your children is like that? And you're going to settle for that? You're on something if you pick something like that. Or again, you're just settling. You're just settling, and I've always said you shouldn't settle like that. You build so you have higher access.
I don't want to settle with this right here.
Never settle. Just never settle, because you guys have to build value. And I've always said women come as a byproduct of the fruits of your endeavors. Okay, so just remember that. So we were on that for a little bit, actually. That was a strong one. That was a very, very strong one. I'm gonna kind of go through this next one, kind of quick here. I personally, let's see what we got here. FE, bingo, dope content. No, appreciate that. We don't need a man to tell us what to do. Thanks, nor do we care. Bye. See you later. See you later. No worries. This is the one who kind of says, "Oh, I'm independent." We don't care about your independency. We don't care about your status. We don't care about that. So if you want to go around saying, well, I don't need this, I don't need that, okay. Let's hope World War III doesn't come in. Let's hope that if you get into trouble and then you scream, oh, someone help me, handle it yourself. All right? Let me see here. Oh, response here. I also wouldn't want to be with a man like either of you, so judgmental and toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity. Oh, there we go. Here's another shaming tactic. Toxic masculinity. Here's word of advice for you, honey. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There never was. There never was.
Yeah, we got our first feminist.
Probably a feminist.
Yeah.
But I thought you said bye. You're still here. That's funny. But again, listen. With what we talk about and such, we're just stating hard facts. If you're one of those women who feel like you don't need a man, the man doesn't need you. And that's a masculine trait. So if we're going to talk about toxic masculinity and we want to say it's a thing, guess who it comes from? It comes from women like this. So if you want to talk about toxic masculinity and say it's a thing, it's coming from them. It's not coming from us. It's really not.
We don't talk women.
Let's see. It's usually men who are the ones attacking us in the first place. Really?
Nah.
What's considered an attack? Interesting. Let's talk about that. What's considered an attack?
Anything that they don't like, basically.
Like if they can't handle rejection, or if we tell them that if we tell a woman that we want a feminine woman, but she's inherently masculine, they're going to consider that an attack. Apparently, it's like, no, we want a feminine woman. It's that simple. And Effie, this is just for you, okay? Like I'm not trying to sound like bad with you here, but understand, like, men inherently just want feminine women. We really do. Like, we don't care about a woman's status. We don't care about her independency. We don't care about if she owns real estate or anything like that. We don't care if she's been to so many places. That lowers her value even more.
Yep.
That's just the way it is. I'm giving you the cold hard truth here. I'm not trying to sound mean here or anything, but this is what we do on the podcast, okay? We're trying to help both men and women out to make sure that you guys are better in the dating market. That's the ultimate goal here. It really is. But in order for us to do that, we have to say these things. We have to. And I know it's uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable truth, objective facts. It's just the way it is. And I don't apologize for that. I don't apologize for stating things the way they are. Like, if the sky is blue, I'm going to tell you the sky is blue. I'm not going to tell you the sky is green. It's blue. And I'm not going to argue with you about that. But that's just the way. It is the way. We have to be pragmatic about things. So, as we've mentioned, if you've seen some of our episodes and such from our previous podcasts, what we do is we like to always pull up statistics and research to make sure that whenever people are watching, they understand how to mitigate risk. That's basically what it means. We want to mitigate risk and just kind of go through the dating market very well. We understand with dating, women in general, they flake. They flake 50 to 76% of the time on dates. That's because they have so many options. Okay, fine, great. So instead of us complaining about it, we're trying to think of solutions on how to really get by that. One of our solutions, in which we had on one of our episodes, is men have to stop following women who they don't know. So when you limit options, women start to think a little bit better and they're more grounded. And then when men come up to them more organically and give them challenge, okay, women behave better. Women behave better when they want things and when they need things. And this goes for men too, but in this time, when it comes to dating, they will behave better. And I've always said it is the woman who has to ask the man for the relationship. It's not the man who should be asking. We ask for the dates. We say, hey, look, we want to take you out. That's what we should do. Women do it too, but men should mostly do it. And then when the woman feels that she really wants the guy, okay, great. And then at that point, the man decides. But kind of going off on that, we went off on a little tangent there. But we appreciate you, Effie. And all jokes aside, okay, like, we appreciate you, coming on in here and such. Oh, let's see here. I have had multiple boyfriends and none of them have ever controlled me because I would be out the door so fast. Well, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. You gotta understand. You gotta understand that men look for submissiveness. They look for submissive women. They look for women who are going to be in their feminine. Women who are going to be compliant for them. You just telling them, well, you can't control me. You can't do this. You can't do that. A woman being submissive to a man is not a man controlling. If you understand, like, if you look at the Eastern countries, like even Asian countries, bowing is a form of submissiveness for the Chinese women, and I believe the Japanese women also. That shows sign of respect for the man, or men. That's a sign of submissiveness. And men tend to behave better, and we respect our women way better when they understand that there is a superior. You have to understand that when it comes to relationships, it's not equal. There is no equalness in the relationship. There's an adorer, and an adoree. For relationships to work, the adorer has to be the woman, and the adoree has to be the man. And you see how I have my hands here? It's not like this, because there's no such thing as it being equal. There's never going to be that both love each other the same. It's never happened. It's never going to be like that. So in order for you, let me see here. So if you see this, okay, if the woman is the one who needs to feel more satisfied in the relationship, it's the woman who needs that emotional stimulation. It is the woman who needs to feel that she has a man who she feels is the superior, who is the higher up, who's the mentor. And she's constantly craving for that man, like, oh wow, like, look at this man, he's giving me so much value in this relationship. But if not, if it comes down here, what's going to happen is she might tolerate it for a little bit, but then she might search. She's gonna feel like she needs to do better, okay? She's going to feel like she needs to do a little bit better. And oftentimes they do better. And then, if it goes this way, now you're up here and the man is up here, okay? Here's what happens. The man pedestalizes. And now you feel, you're looking down, you're feeling like you're better than he is. And that's hardwiring. Women don't date down. You know that. I know you know that. Women don't date down. They either date across or above, mostly above, but they're never going to settle. They're never going to settle for a guy who's beneath them. They're never going to settle for that. Women inherently, if you look at this even back in the nomadic times, we have the hunters and we have the gatherers. The men obviously are the hunters and the women are the gatherers. There's a hierarchy, there's a placement. They have their strengths, they have their skills, but when women try to be the hunters and the hunters try to be the gatherers, it's very different. It's a very different dynamic because men are stronger, we have better cognitive navigational skills, and then women are better when it comes to navigation, when it comes to recognition. We know the strengths. And if you look at history as well, what happens is when men don't provide value, okay, because we provide value in different ways. If the gatherer is doing her part by gathering fruits and plants, because she's better at doing that, but the man is not doing his part, and he wants the woman to share resources, believe it or not, she won't. She's not getting anything back in return. But whereas the man is more altruistic. When he gets meat, kills the animals and such for the food, he gives it to everybody regardless. That's how we are as men. We provide. That's how we do. This is nomadic times I'm explaining to you. So that's just to have a better understanding of that. And kind of going off with the comments here and such. Let me see. I gotta go back to which the most recent one. Let me see. So I have the most. Why should men be seen as better though? Like I said.
Okay. Yeah.
So here's the thing. Women in general, as I mentioned before, they look for superior. And in order for a man to protect you, he has to be stronger than you, right? He has to be more willing to put himself at risk and in line to make sure you're protected. So he's
smarter. So
he's better at the protection side. If your house gets robbed, I said this example last time, right?
Yeah.
If you're going on, and you guys are living together, and this is for you, Effie, I'm going to ask you this. You can answer this if you'd like to, right? You're in a house, you're living with your significant other, and someone robs your house. You're expecting him to fend off the intruder, right? You are. But let's say, because you're saying we're equal, let's see if you really believe in that. So if we're equal, and the guy saves you from the intruder the first time, but then let's say you get robbed the second time, and he says, it's your turn. Are you going to take now the responsibility, the mantle, the protector role? That's really supposed to be for the man. Are you going to take up that mantle to now protect him, your kids, from an intruder who's probably bigger than you, faster than you, more agile, and more equipped to deal with incoming threats? You don't need a man to protect you. Interesting. Okay, all right. But you see, that doesn't answer my question. Are you going to take on the role of protecting the man is what I'm asking. Are you going to take the role not only to protect yourself, but the man and your children from a home invader? That's my question to you. I'm not asking if you need a man or not. I'm asking you if you're going to take the time and the willingness to do that. Let's see here. I wouldn't let him go outside either. I would lock us in a bathroom and call 911.
Oh, good.
Okay, so lock 911. So, see, but it takes time for the people to get there to your house. By then, you're probably already going to be dead. Probably. If he's a serial killer.
I'm guessing she doesn't believe in having guns or anything like that either.
And then let's say this. Let's take it a step further. Let's take this a step further. Actually, let's say World War III happens. Okay.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't. Of course. Let's say World War III happens, and the Selective Services now say, and then we have a new president. We're going to have a new president most likely at that time. And he says, oh, by the way, we just passed on an amendment here that now we're going to be just like Israel and Korea. Now it's 50-50. Now men and women have to be drafted.
Yeah. Women are going to put on their apron so fast and go to the kitchen.
If you're selected, are you going to contribute to the 50-50 that you believe in with egalitarianism? Are you going to do that? Or are you going to stick back to your role and say, no, I want to stay being a stay-home wife, take care of the kids, I'll be the submissive one, I want to take care of the house, I want to be the caregiver, I want to do that? Or are you really going to buy into the 50-50 and serve the country because you believe in that egalitarianism? So I'll let you answer that for me. let you answer that. But kind of going on here, I'll wait for her to answer and such. And Effie, I do appreciate you coming on in here and such. I actually do enjoy this conversation here. Again, I'm not trying to make you look bad here. I hope I'm not, even though I'm asking you some questions. It's like a small debate her and I are having right now. This is kind of fun. This is kind of fun. But let's see here. So kind of moving on here. We kind of stuck on this one a little bit. We were on stop going on dates. Okay, so this point here is to stop going on dates with guys who you don't like, honestly. And they're not going to do it because of the access of social media. Social media is such a big thing right now. Dating apps are a big thing. It's the number one way. It's the number one way to date. So of course it's easy. It's organic. It's inorganic. Okay, it's artificial. But and this kind of goes back to even one of my red flags. Like, men have to stop just feeding into that. And if women are going to be more appealing to themselves, okay, when they start going on dates with these guys, especially if you're going to go on a date with a guy and your phone is buzzing like crazy, you think men aren't going to notice that? And then they're going to start having suspicions, at least the smart ones will. Am I a foodie call? Does she have plans with other guys on doing certain things? How do I know that after this date she's probably just going to call somebody else? She's just here because she's hungry. So that's definitely something else. And it's easy. Women can get dates much easier than men. Easily. And I've always said, even on this channel too, I think this is the first time I've said this, men are objects of success and women are objects of beauty. They're beauty objects, sex objects. That's just the way it's always been. You can even see this on other podcasts and even literature. That's kind of how they've been. There's a book that they came from. I just forget where. But that one was kind of a quick one. And when women do this especially, they tend to compartmentalize a lot. Let's see here. Your views on man's role and a woman's role are outdated. Really? Well, let's talk about some statistics and let's see how outdated they really are.
Yeah.
Women's rate of unhappiness is a lot higher. Women are on drugs more, SSRIs. Marriages fail 50% of the time, 50 to 56% of the time through divorces, and 80% of them are initiated by women. 90% of them are college educated. The flake rate for girls on dates is between 50 and 73%. Men are committing more suicide, more self-deletion because of divorces. It's even higher. And there's even more single motherhood. Single motherhood households are a thing. And let's go through some data. Actually, I'm going to go through some more since you're saying it's very outdated. Let's go through this, right? I always keep them in my book. So if we want to talk about this because of the outdatedness. Let's see how effective it being outdated is. If we talk about single mother households, because we're not going with what we're talking about, what was actually working in the past, but we want to call it outdated because we have new things that are normalized, we can talk about more of the statistics here. We have higher single mother households than ever, much higher. But because our method is outdated, it's not even our method, it's just, this is before feminism started. And this was well before feminism started, okay? So now we're going through statistics, we're going through the aftermath of the more modernized method. After feminism. After the women's suffrage movement, after the 19th Amendment. Here's what happens now. Higher rates of single motherhood households, crime rates are even higher, and mental issues are even higher. 73% of adolescents are murderers. 73% of them are from adolescent murderers. 85% with behavior issues, and 85% of them in prisons. These are kids. These are kids. I'm not even talking about men and women. We're talking about kids. This that's happening right now, because we decided to rip up the old contract, this is what's happened. So if you want to say it's outdated because something else has been modernized,
it has everything to do with feminism.
What else do you want from there? You know what I mean? Again, we go by statistics. We go by the generalization, numbers, stats, studies, surveys. This is what it is. We're going by the what is. We're not making stuff up in our heads, okay? And let's see, it has nothing to do with women. Really? Has nothing to do with women, really. I just said 80% of women are divorcing. 90% of they're college educated. So you're saying that has nothing to do with women, but women are the ones initiating the divorces. So how does it have nothing to do with them? They're the ones making the choice. And funny thing about that, right? Funny thing about that, I'll read this one here for you, Effie. Let me kind of get this point in. A lot of times, too, the three main points when it comes to divorcing is lack of commitment, infidelity, and financial issues. Those are like really the main points. And then when it comes to marriage, vows are a thing of the past. You want to talk about outdated? Vows are outdated because no one sticks to them. That's why we even say like marriage is not really a deal. It's not a good deal for most men, especially since we have countries and even laws in certain states that are just totally hostile towards men. So it's not a great deal. That's an objective fact. That's just is. That's not really an opinion right there. But yeah, morals. Well, let's see here. Men are ending it because of how other men are judging them and wanting them to be a certain way when they just want to be themselves and open up with their emotions but are shamed for it. Men are not ending it. Listen, honey. I'm gonna give you some game here. Okay, I'm gonna give you some game. Men aren't the ones who end relationships.
I think it means by like offing themselves. I'm not sure though, but
by self-deletion, is that what it is?
I think that's what she means. I'm not sure.
Well, let's see. Anyway, we'll go off this one. Men rarely end relationships. Rarely. The only time men truly end relationships is through promiscuity. If women disrespect us and emasculate us, and those are like the real reasons men leave women, or if they have kids with other men behind our backs. Like that's how it really happens. Like we don't leave because you forgot to cook the chicken in the oven, or you forgot to wear one of our favorite dresses that we like you to wear, or you forgot our birthday one day. We don't leave women for that. We leave women for very real and pragmatic reasons.
Oh, she means ending life, yeah.
Ending life. Okay. I apologize for that. I apologize. Okay.
Yeah, but this.
But here's the thing. Like that's the thing with ending.
That's not why she's wrong on this for a lot. You know, men ending it because of how other men are judging them. That's not true.
Well, no, because the thing is I actually read this a little earlier. Actually, there was in the evolutionary psychology book I'm reading right now. It talks about like suicides, right? So what it is with the suicides? Here's the thing. For the most reason, and this is due to the divorce rates being high, okay? Yeah. But the self-deletion aspect is because you got to understand that if a woman causes divorce, if she does a divorce, there's a lot that goes on her side. She has 80 to 83% of the time, she wins custody of the kids. And she alienates the husband for the most part from the kids.
Right.
That is a objective fact right there. I'm just going off statistics. She gets child support, gets alimony, probably gets some of his assets, if not all.
Yeah, the laws are not good.
Yeah, they're totally hostile towards women. So the whole vows thing, they're not going to follow their vows because there's so much incentive for them to leave their husbands. There's so much. There's just so much. So when you're saying that, for the self-deletion part, yeah, because when men feel like they've lost status, when they feel that they're a burden to their kin, and they feel like they can't please their woman or the kids anymore, and then they just feel like they don't have a purpose, that's what happens. Self-deletion happens because of that. And it's already reported that men self-delete way more than women because of that. So it's like,
right, man.
It's they go through stuff. Like, and this is partially on the woman. Like, if you got to stick it out. Like, if the guy's doing good, if he's doing well, and the woman just gets bored one day for some reason, just bored, or another guy comes along, and because she just decides to wander off and travel, and the man doesn't put his foot down to stop all these bad behaviors, quite frankly, it's the guy's fault for doing that, quite frankly. But even then, like the urges, when she gets urges like that, this is the behaviors that happen. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Let's see. Every point you make, though, it's the woman's fault no matter what. I'll tell you if it's the man's fault. Like I just said, it's the man's fault. If he can't keep the woman emotionally stimulated, if he can't keep her engaged in the relationship, it is the man's fault. It is. It's totally his fault. But the divorces and children and abortion and what else you got here? Like why does everything come down to women and how we are? Why not take some responsibility? Men are far from perfect either. I never said men are perfect. But what I'm saying is, again,
it's just a culture, really. You know.
What I'm saying is, again, like when men, if it comes down to it, if men are going through dates, relationships, they're getting friend zoned, that's their fault. It's not the woman's fault, it's the man's fault. Yeah. If they chose poorly because the woman is promiscuous, the woman has a bad past, the woman has a child also already with another guy, and the man chooses her, and things go to the crap, and they get it together or they get married and then she divorces him, that's the man's fault for choosing poorly.
Right.
I'm telling you, that's not the woman's fault, it's the man's fault. Poor mate selecting choices come independently from one another. So if the man chose wrong, that's entirely his fault. But same thing for the woman. If the woman chooses wrong, it's still her fault. But her initiating divorce, that's on her, because she chose to have the relationship with the man. She wanted marriage. Women at the end of the day want marriage and want kids. And she wanted the lifestyle, she wanted this, but because we have so many things that women want in certain relationships, if they're not submissive to the man, if she stops looking at him like the superior, the mentor, the giant, the man who she really wants to be with, the hot burning desire, then women will do what they can. They're going to do what they can. They're solipsistic. They will do whatever they can to make sure that they can survive. But at the end of the day, if they chose to stay with the guy, isn't it her fault? Isn't it her fault for poor mate selecting? It is. It's her fault for poor mate selecting. Like, it's just the way it is. And this is what I want to say about accountability. And same thing with same thing with children. If you're going to have a child with a guy, whose fault is it for having the child? Who's the gatekeeper to sex?
It's women.
It's women. So if we're going to throw responsibilities, especially, men are the ones responsible for giving the marriage relationships and commitments. But then women are responsible for keeping their purity, their chastity. So if we're going down that rabbit hole even more, and we're going to talk about even abortion rates, and we're going to talk about the nurturing things and things like that, women have full power. They have full power over that. Our abortion rates are higher. I will say abortion is never an easy decision to make, but sometimes you have to do what's best for everyone all the way around.
What's best for everyone is to give birth.
Yes, but the thing is, Effie, like if you're gonna have
a good option.
But the thing is, again, if you're gonna have a child with somebody, when you're intimate with a guy, Effie, check this out. When you're intimate with a guy, you have to subconsciously, women understand that they are inherently taking a risk that they might get pregnant with the guy. They will. They know that. They innately know that. So, is it a decision? Well, here's the thing. You are the one who makes the decision. You have full reproductive rights. It's not us that have reproductive rights. In fact, I forget what there's like a terminology, I forget what it's called. If we go up to the woman and we're like forcing her to abort, we can get in trouble for that. We can go to court for that. I think there's like a certain law for that. I forget the terminology for that. But women have full reproductive rights. They choose. You choose if you want to be a mother, and you choose if the man becomes a father. You have power on both ends. So
I don't think it's fair, but go ahead.
It's not fair. Like, men should have just as much right to be a parent just like the woman does.
Right.
But he has no say in that. So with power comes responsibility. Because you have the power to give sex, to give intimacy, guess what? That comes with responsibility. Your responsibility to keep yourself pure and chastity, that is your responsibility. That is not the man's responsibility. So if you lose your virginity to a guy who you don't like, that's not the man's fault. That's your fault, because you are the gatekeeper to sex. If you decide to have, if a kid comes in from whatever reason, the condom breaks, or you lied to him about birth control or whatever, that's your fault. That's still your fault, 100%. It doesn't. You can say it's the man's fault, but ultimately you're the arbiter. You're the one who decided to give intimacy, especially unsafe. Right. So you are the one who ultimately falls to that. Not really the man. Not really the man. And then same thing. When you're choosing men, it's the same exact thing. If you chose horribly and the kid comes in with a guy who you really didn't like, that's your fault. It's totally your fault. And I'm also going to say, I'm going to take this one more step further. One more step further, actually. If you're married and you have kids, I'm going to say it's very criminal that you're divorcing a man who you have kids with. I'm going to say that's very criminal. I'm going to tell you why. The stats I just showed you, not only are you choosing to end a marriage with somebody, okay, but the fact that you're just going to end it, and you understand that children who end up in single-family households, specifically single mother households, have the highest rate of building degeneracy with children. The highest rate. Single father households fare about the same when it comes to nuclear families. But women, no, it's not the same. It's totally not the same. So the fact that you have all these rights, you have all the privileges to gain custody 83% of the time, winning it, alienating the father, you're damning the children, as a matter of fact. Because the fact of the matter is, girls and boys need father figures. They need that. They need mothers too, absolutely. But they do better together. Always. They've always done better together. But it is irresponsible, and I'm going to even say criminal, when a woman just says, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. Having kids, and you are hurting the children. You're hurting the children, and then on top of that, we've already talked about like the self-deletion rates and things like that. But let's see here. Men don't get pregnant. That's not the point. That's not the point. The fact is, you need men to get pregnant, right? Women aren't going to asexually produce. That you need part of the man. You need part of the man. So that's not the point. Killing a baby isn't right. Yeah, because when you're aborting, guess what? You're killing the baby.
Yeah.
It's murder.
It's horrible.
It is murder. Okay. Now I'm not even trying to joke about that. Like, that's a serious thing. Like, that's murder. And we're gonna talk a little bit on another episode on some cold hard truths when it comes to nurturing. We'll talk about that. Let's see. That's why we have the right. You do have the right, but guess what? You have the privilege and the power. Yeah, the power to not get pregnant. So again, if you're not going to take responsibility for getting pregnant with the wrong person and saying, oh, why are we to blame? That's not right. That's not right. You have to hold yourself accountable for that. Okay, and then this isn't an attack on you, of course. This is just in general. Like, you got to hold yourself accountable for that. Okay. Let's see. That's right. Oh, that's you. Okay. And I have had an abortion myself. I was 19, and my boyfriend at the time didn't want a child, and neither did I. We both made the decision, and I don't regret it. You see, but that's at 19. 19. Way to stick it out. Way to stick it out. Feel free to give your honest opinion on it, though. Well, look, Effie, I'm glad that things worked out. Okay, like everyone deserves some chance, okay, at a level of happiness, okay? But it's gonna take work. It's definitely gonna take work. I don't know how old you are now, okay? But just understand, your past does matter, okay? It really does. So, moving forward, now I don't really have a strong opinion about that. I'm just glad that you ended up not getting into a bad position, or a worse position, a much more worse position, if anything. I wish you the best. Definitely wish you the best. I highly encourage you, if you have the time, check out some of our videos. Okay, I have some on men, I have some on women and things like that. 21. Oh, congratulations. Now you're fully legal to drink now. To drink and all that stuff. Congrats.
He's a young one, right?
But I'm going to tell you this, Effie. I'm going to tell you this. You have a lot to learn. You have a lot to learn. I'm not saying this to dish on you, okay? But you're young. You're fairly young. There's a lot about the world you got to understand. Okay, there's a lot to learn. And I kind of figured, just based on your responses and such, like, okay, you're probably, but again, like, you're young, you're probably a beautiful woman, okay, and women are valuable between the ages of 18 and 24. Take this time to really, really try to lock down a man who's going to give you everything, who you look up to as the superior, your leader, your who you could be submissive to, who this and that. I know you're saying that you don't need a man, blah, 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 but I bet you won't say that when the guy comes 30, in.
Around there, as she ages, she's going to be like 5.
I bet you won't say that when the guy comes around. You're not going to say that to him.
She's young now.
You're not going to say that.
When she gets older, she's going to start to realize, like, you know, I should have done things differently in the past. And
you got to understand, too, like, and of course, you're young, you're 21. But when you hit 30, and when your fertility starts to go down, because women lose about 70 to 80% of their eggs when they hit 30. That's a lot. That means your fertility has gone down. And when men are seriously vetting for women, we're vetting for paternity for women. Like, if we're going to take her seriously, we want to marry her and things like that in the future, we want kids, we're going to vet her also for paternity. What makes you valuable? I'm going to tell you what makes you valuable as a woman. Your purity, your ability to retain a man, your ability to respect a man, your ability to be complimentary towards the man, not being promiscuous, And when you're intimate with him, you are the best with him. Like, you are a freak in bed with him, and only him, not other guys you're entertaining. All right, none of that, just him. We're simple, and don't embarrass us in front of friends and family members. Don't try to be equal to us, because it's never going to be like that. It's just not. It's never been that way. I know you're saying, though, we are equal, but we're not. Because if you want protection from a man, it's not equal. Because for him to protect you, he has to be stronger, he has to be bigger, he has to be more capable of doing that. And he probably even know martial arts. For him to be chivalrous, he has to be more upfront. And in chivalry, if we talk about chivalry as well, this is when, like, the knight era, when the knights would always assist the weak. This is it right here. He's opening the car door for you. He's maybe even cooking some food for you. He's pulling your chair out, giving you a coat, pulling your coat off you and such, because that's a chivalrous act. Because that's not equalism. Because he is trying to perform acts to help those in which, at that point, when it comes to the chivalrous side, the true chivalry is because they are the stronger ones. So there's no equalism there. I'm giving it to you straight, there's no equalism there. All right? The other thing here, too, with the 50-50, again, there's no 50-50. It's never been that way. And even if you want 50-50, how long are you going to tolerate that? You're not going to tolerate that. Like, you want a man who you can sit back and say, my man's got it. He's got it. You might be okay with paying, like, let's say, the dinners and groceries and bills. You might be okay paying 50-50. You might be okay with that. But for how long? Eventually, you're going to be like, okay, well, like, when is this guy going to, like, do it? You know, like, eventually. You're not going to tolerate that for a very long time. But when you start feeling that you're better than the man, when you don't look up to him, when you don't see him as the guy, the leader, the one who's going to give you the best life, you're going to do better. You're going to find better. That's just it. You're going to find better. You don't want to look down on a man. The moment you start feeling better than him, you're going to move on. Yep. You're going to move on. And you want a man who's going to give you the best life. That's organically speaking, like, in a biological hardwiring, that's how it is. Women want that. They want to be with the guy who's going to give them the best lifestyle, because it's just a security measure. That's how it is. But good stuff, Effie. Good conversating with you. Absolutely.
It never gets outdated.
Yeah.
It's hardwired right there.
We'll have different modernizations of certain things, but the hardwiring doesn't die.
No.
The hardwiring doesn't die. Absolutely not.
Times might change, but we're always going to be the same.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Good stuff. If you have questions, Effie, feel free to ask us questions and stuff on how to, like, you know, act out and such. We'll help. We'll help the best way we can. We finished kind of like with the going out on dates with such. So compartmentalizing, definitely. When they have the time, they have the choices to compartmentalize, they'll do it. They honestly will, because they don't find the guy. He's just a guy. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of it for that one, honestly. We're kind of wrapping up a little bit here. So here's another habit, okay? This one's going to be a little bit more habitual, on the habitual side. So when it comes to you getting into a relationship, this is for both men and women. Don't stop working on yourselves when it comes to physique-wise, okay? Don't stop that. Because what I tend to see sometimes is, this even happened with my past relationships, unfortunately.
This happens a lot with everybody. The relationship gain weight and all that kind of stuff is just, yeah. People stop taking care of themselves, they get lazy, uncomfortable, you know? Yeah.
I hear in marriages, there's like a 10-pound rule. Like, the moment a man gets married, they gain like 10 pounds or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. Just out of nowhere. I guess when I get married one of these days, we'll see.
I mean, it happens in all my relationships, to be honest. I always gain weight like crazy, you know? I like to go out and all that stuff, and just gain weight, bro, you know?
Yeah, I can. Effie, I'm going to get to your comment here. Let me kind of wrap up this point here and such. So, you gotta work on yourself. So, I've always said that even in some of the past surveys, we've even showed this, like, men idealistically want younger women, okay? But they also have to appeal to them. So you're going to have women who say, oh, well, I don't want him to like me for my looks. I want him to like me for my personality. But understand, guys, like, in order for a man to go up to you, he has to find you attractive. And then after that, he's going to start trying to see what your personality is and your past and everything else after that, the bread and butter stuff. But if he doesn't find you attractive, he's not going to approach you. That's just the reality of it. But the other point I kind of wanted to bring up here, check this out. It's, Chris, we could pull up this study. It's,
which one?
It's a picture, actually. You'll see it. It's a picture of a book, a page.
Oh, yeah.
It's a page. We can pull that up kind of quick here, right?
Let me see if I can.
This one's coming from evolutionary psychology here, so...
Let me see if I can do this here.
Yeah.
From our Discord directly. Can we zoom in on this shit? I guess we're gonna do it like this. Alright, I'm gonna put video share.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys can kind of see this one here, we can kind of check this out here. Yeah, unless you can download it, and then you open up in Photos, and you just zoom in on it. Yeah, save the image. Save the image, yeah. Well, that looks big enough, actually.
Yeah, I might do the trick. Well, let me see.
Yeah. No, this one's really interesting, actually. It's I don't know how old this study is, actually. It's a relatively old one, but it has to do, for ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're going over here. We're going over how waist to hip ratio actually matters when it comes to mate selecting. I'm going to tell you why it matters. This is for the women's side, right? Are we able to save this one and then open it up in Photos and then you zoom in or no?
It's going to look bad right now. Let me just do this. No, we'll do it like this for now.
All right, so kind of going on here. Oh, I need that.
There you go.
I need it. Yeah, so kind of going over here, guys. So I'm going to kind of breeze through this one here. So Singh has proposed one such feature, the ratio of the waist to hips, or WHR, waist to hip ratio, right? Now here's stating really quick, a low WHR indicating that the waist is smaller in the circumference than the hips is linked to fertility. It's linked with fertility. Check that out. And for two reasons. Number one, women in fertility clinics with low WHRs get pregnant sooner than women with higher waist to hip ratios. And then second, women with higher show higher incidence of heart disease and endocrinological problems, which are both linked to lower fertility. So this is for you gentlemen, and for the ladies too. Ladies, when you get into like a relationship, if you're already working out and you guys, you got it going for yourselves and you got the Coca-Cola bottle and things like you look good, you take care of yourself. Continue doing that. Continue doing that. It's not just for the appeal. It's not just for, okay, well, my woman looks good, great, and then I think that man's gonna look good too and such. But this matters for a very big reason. Okay, I just named two right here for you. Well, I didn't. I just got it from one of the books I'm reading. Men, this is for you. Here's another way how you can determine fertility for women. Again, the lower the waist to hip ratio is, the more frequent and the more efficient their births are going to be for children. But the higher it is, it predicts lower fertility for them. Okay, for endocrinological issues, heart disease, and probably other things like high blood pressure, because innately when they're bigger, that's how it is, and even for men. So I wanted to bring that up there. So this is just another strategy for you gentlemen, okay? Waist to hip ratio matters, because it'll help you determine a woman's fertility, ability, or the efficiency of fertility, okay? So kind of, that was a cool one. That was definitely a cool one. And we can kind of come back to the comment here and such. I've always grown up around strong women. My mom split from my dad when I was a baby and has always been on her own. And my aunt is a strong feminist. So that's why I feel so strongly about this. See, I can understand that. I understand that. And the thing is that, and I've said this before, women are very impressionable, okay? I highly advise, if you could be around strong masculine figures, Effie, it's going to benefit you. Now, I'm going to be a little honest with you. I'll be honest with you. This isn't to attack you. This isn't to, down you up, okay? Men in general will give more pragmatic advices, okay? It's just because the thing is that we're more logical. We don't rely on our emotions to make decisions for ourselves. Women in general are more neurotic. They express negative emotions more. Mm-hmm. And we talked about earlier, if you ever want to rewind from this video, is menopause changes them a lot. And then on top of that, when women are on birth control, they just change. They change into completely different people. So when they're going through episodes like that, they don't make rational decisions. Us men, we can't afford to be all emotional. We can't do that. Even though there are going to be women out there that say, no, men need to be open in their emotions. I think we are. We just express it differently. So like, me how I am, okay? How I'm talking to you, even though you said some things, because we might have said some things that might have triggered you in some way. And again, the point is to help, okay? I'm here, I'm trying to have a conversation with you and everybody else who comes in, right? And I'm telling you, look, this is how it is, okay? This is kind of the harsh reality of it. This is the cold reality of it, and here's how we can attack it. Here's how we can be better from it, okay? Obviously, there's nothing we can do about your parents splitting. I don't know your parents' history. I would hope that dad is still around, and maybe you talk to him, and you're with him, and if you have hard conversations in which maybe you might not have with your mom, but at least with the dad. I personally think if you do have that relationship with your father, keep that relationship. Keep it. Definitely keep it with your father. If you have a strong one, keep it. And if you have guy troubles or maybe you need advice on how to get through relationships, probably trust him a little bit more when it comes to navigating, because he's going to tell you this is what you should do because it's the right thing to do. He's not going to tell you do it because it feels right or something egotistical or something that's going to put you down on a straight path. Okay, and even us now. Okay, like you're free. You're more than welcome to join our chat here and ask us questions on how to get you through things. Okay, that's what we're here for. So
our Discord, yeah,
and we're on Discord also. Feel free to join our Discord and such. Like we'll help you out. We'll definitely get you through it and such. And I understand with your being a strong feminist and don't be a feminist. Just don't. It's going to hurt your chances. It's definitely going to hurt your chances in the market when you find a guy who you really like. Yeah. Okay? See, I have to leave now, but this was a really interesting chat, to be honest. I enjoyed it. We both didn't agree on certain things, but I will take away from this to be less guarded and more open-minded. Of course, absolutely. And we appreciate you coming on in here, okay? So if you ever want to talk again and such, we go Tuesdays and Thursdays, okay? 8 p.m.
Hey, join our Discord. Everything's in the description.
All right. So, and I'm glad that we were able to talk a little bit and dive deeper into what's going on, so we were able to kind of understand you a little bit more. So that's what it is. See, that's what it is, guys. Being pragmatic, understanding, working through things. Okay. You've just seen an example of that. So take care, Effie. Okay. Well, we'll definitely talk later on and such, and stick around for some of the next episodes. Okay. You have a good night and be easy. Let's see here. Yeah. So. And Dr. Cervantes, you're still here. Very good, very good. We're kind of wrapping up here and such, so that's good.
Yeah.
And here's kind of my final point here, and such, just to kind of wrap things up here.
Yeah, it's
almost. It's not 10 yet. Look at that. Yeah. Not 10 yet. Very, very good. So we're looking good here. We went on some other topics here, which is really good. Now, here's kind of my final point here. I had 2 points actually, but I'm gonna just put it to one here. Put it to one, and then we'll kind of go with another video.
Yeah.
My last point here, this kind of goes a little bit with the social media, and they're doing the social masking, and they're building like some fabricated status to kind of go hand in hand and to kind of accompany it and things like that. Okay. Just like how men can't be delusional with their options if they're at home doing nothing, they have nothing going for them.
Yeah.
They play video games all
Some
day.
are delusional.
Yeah, and then say, "Oh, I can still get any woman I want."
Yeah.
Those are delusional men.
Smoking weed, playing video games. They work at McDonald's and they think they can get a model or some shit like that.
Yeah. Those are the delusional ones.
Yeah, they exist.
But on the other side here, this is for the ladies now. Okay. I'm going to start this topic off with supply and demand, all right? The reason why I'm bringing up supply and demand is we have too many women right now, and this is just more coming across social media and the dating and things like that. Because of social media, because of too many options, because of statuses, the fabrication of statuses, and thirst trapping and things like that, it's exacerbated women's delusion. It's exacerbated to the point where they think that the options they have are real options, and there's so many guys that want them, but they don't really want them. Those are the fake options, the artificial ones, the ones that just want to see them naked, just want to have intimacy with them and not take them serious. Those are the fake options, and I think women are smarter than that. They know. They absolutely know, okay? But the point I'm trying to make here is with the supply and demand. If we talk about this one, we understand that let's define what a traditional woman is. Let's first define what that is. If we can find a common ground with what the definition is for a traditional woman, then we can go off the points here. To me, okay, and I think I can speak to all men about this, for men of all this. Traditional woman She's a conservative. She's religious. She's not really into secularism.
Everybody's grandmother, basically.
Yeah, she grew she grew up in another same thing, conservative home, nuclear family. She has consistency with what her father has indoctrinated in her. She respects her father. And to make it more traditional, the ladies, the girls stay with their parents until a man comes in and then takes the woman out of the house to marry her and things like that.
It should be, man.
That's how it was. That's how it should be, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
And we even look back, right? If we look at even, I think it was before feminism started, everything like that.
1950?
It took, the courtship, I believe, for marriage was about 3 months. 3 months. That's nothing.
Damn.
That's nothing.
But the thing is, like, you don't really have to vet her that much like we do today.
This was like in the 17th century, I believe.
Oh, 17th century. Oh, okay. I was
Yeah, we're going way
1950s.
back. Well, I'm telling you, this was before feminism started and things like that. So we're going way back.
But even
centuries
like,
ago.
Even like in the 1950s, I think, like, you don't have to like vet a woman that much. You know what I'm saying? They're all kind of like the same. Everybody's like kind of like the same for the most part. Now, it's off the walls. You know what I'm saying? All these women, all this shit, and social media, they're all over the place, bro. Like.
But they were limited to their demographics, of course.
Right.
Yeah, they were more limited to their demographics.
Somewhat the same, you know.
Yeah.
If you're, I don't know. Keep going though.
Yeah. So no, but even like back then, okay, that was kind of the norm.
Right.
3 months of courtship. You want to know what it is now? It's 3 years now.
Yeah.
How did we go from 3 months to 3 years? Oh, you know, we know how, of course, but like, yeah, I'm just being exaggerative. But yeah, like, that's how you know the dating market has just skewed so hard like that. I can understand if we went from 3 months to maybe 6 or 7 months. And I would even say, like, what we talk about on the podcast, that the vetting phase is about 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. We're okay with that. It's like, if it jumped to 6 months, that's fine. That's how much time you should be vetting somebody anyway. But 3 years, that's a lot. That's definitely a lot. So a lot has changed. So when we're going off that, so that's tradition, right? That's more traditional. Like, we're vetting, and what a lot of girls tend to do now is that they kind of rush the process. They tend to, and men rush the process too. It's not just them.
No.
We rush the process most of the time. We don't take the time vetting, because the men low value who don't have much going for them, the moment the girl touches their,
They want to put a ring on it. Yeah.
the moment the woman touches them a certain way or looks at them a certain way, that it's like their first kiss. They commit to them right away. You know, that's a big mistake. And then for women, if they choose wrong and such, because maybe they just they felt really good with the guy and then just have sex with him immediately and without protection even, it's like, whoa, okay, the poor mate selection right there. You know, if you're gonna do that, of course, have the protection on top of that. So we're on that, the traditional aspect, when the woman stays in the parents' household until a man basically comes on in, but that doesn't happen anymore, of course. Let me see here. She follows certain religious beliefs, of course, if not all of it, because like the tattoos and the piercings and the alcoholism, because even I think in the Quran you're not supposed to do that as well. That's considered blasphemy and a sin when it comes to the pillars. The pillars, you're not supposed to do that. Let me see here. She understands hierarchies. That's another form of traditionalism, hierarchies, because especially if we're not including secularism, we know it's, if we're talking about even in the Christian household,
right,
we have God, then Jesus Christ, then men, then woman. The woman is the body of the church, and the man is head of that, and then Jesus Christ, and then God, and then so on and so forth, right?
Christian women understand that for sure.
Yeah, the conservatives understand that heavily, and such, so they behave differently.
They behave better.
They behave, and they're more feminine.
Yes.
That's like, you can't get any more feminine than that. You honestly can't. She knows how to respect men, because again, the father figure was around to indoctrinate that into the woman.
Yeah.
Let me see here. So that's, we just gave you a handful right there on what. Oh, and purity, of course, purity. That's like the selling point. And I always say too, a woman's commodity, what her selling point is to men is her purity.
Right.
Her potential for purity, at least. And a man's potential is to sell his future, because women want that security, right? So that's our commodities. We have to sell that to each other, of course. So I think you and I, Chris, can we kind of agree on that? That's like the baseline for what a traditional woman is. We can probably name a bunch more, but to kind of be on that as well. beyond that. And then, of course, they know that we said the hierarchies as well, that they respect their men, they look up to the man, she understands too when she has children who duty now. When it comes, and in evolutionary psychology, we split labor. Labor is split when it comes to the hunters for gathering food and such, and then the nurturing side, that's labor for the women when they're taking care of the kids and getting all the fruits and plants and things like that. Those are splits with labor. That's how it was in nomadic times, and it still is here. It's just, we're not going. It's the supermarket for them, and then it's power plants and plumbing for the guys. Right? That's hunting for us, if anything. So that's that. So we've established a baseline. Okay, that's a baseline. We can add more, we can take away whatever, but that would be an established baseline there. So if we understand too, even from statistics, if we talked about this, 0.2 to 0.3% of women are saving themselves for intimacy, their purity for a man before marriage. Okay, and there's about 2.7 to 3% of women who are marriage material right now. So back to
in the U.S.
Yo, Chad, good morning from India. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Great content. They're great. Well, we hope you stick around, my man. We're kind of wrapping up here, but thanks for sticking around here. You can always rewind and rewatch everything and things like that.
What time is it in India?
What time is it in India? Yeah, give us a time there. Good evening from the U.S. Absolutely. Yeah. Let me see here. Okay, so supply and demand. Now, here's where it all kind of comes together, supply and demand. Based off what I just said, all right? We just talked about what the baseline is for a traditional woman. And we talked about the marriage rates, we talked about the divorce rates, we talked about the rates when it comes to degeneracy, we talked about that. And we talked about how women are saving themselves for marriage 0.2 to 0.3% in the total population, and the total marriage material is 2.7% to 3%. Taking all those numbers now and combining them with the axiom of a traditional woman, combine it all together. Now let's apply supply and demand. Right now, from what I mentioned, there is a high demand from men who want that type of woman, I would say, to take serious, not to fool around with, okay? And the supply is here for what I just mentioned in traditionalism, conservative, I'm trying to make up a word here, a conservative woman. A conservative woman, okay? Now, obviously, this becomes more valuable. When the supply is low but the demand is high, it becomes more valuable. If we're talking about like market prices, then the price becomes higher, so it becomes more valuable. But if we're looking at it the other way around, women want a high status man, a man who makes 6 figures, 7 figures, he's masculine, a chiseled jawline, 1.62 shoulder to waist ratio, he's got to have like a certain color, he's got to be tall, influencing power, you get the gist, of it. And there's about 10% of people who make that type of money, but then it lowers even more when we're adding all those traits. So now let's kind of equal it out here. So the supply is low for those types of guys that women want, and the demand is higher. You see that? We have an inverse relationship here. So when women say, oh, I'm not looking for guys like that, look at the supply. Very low. So up here, women are fighting let's see if you guys can see it. They're fighting tooth and nail for these types of guys. Tooth and nail. And where I'm getting at also with this one as well, I'm going to give it to you guys straight. Women are born with value in this world, as I mentioned before, and men have to create value. So with all the statistics put together, with the desirable women that men truly want to be with when it comes to paternity, limiting risk, mitigating risk, ensuring that they have a good future and they don't have to worry about promiscuity from the woman, it's not good. The rate is not good. So now when I come back to this one, the exacerbation of delusion is we have women, men too, and we already said that there are men who are very delusional and they think that they can get any girl they want, but they got nothing going for them. This is the same thing with women. Ladies, I'm going to give it to you straight, okay? You got to check yourselves a little bit. Check yourselves a little bit when it comes to mate selecting and understanding your ability to attain a man, okay? Because just because you're able to get artificial options through social media, guys who won't take you serious, that's not a flex, as I mentioned before. If you have guys who are coming after you, they seriously want to be with you, and you seriously want to be with them, then you've got, oh, that's good for you. So now you've got real options to work with. But if you're not traditional, you're promiscuous, you don't respect men, you're a feminist, you can't keep the man, you can't add value to his life, you're a headache, so you're never going to give him the ring. You don't stand out to him.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. You just don't. Like if I'm on a date with a girl right now, let's say, and let's just hypothetically say I ask her this question. Not that I will, but if a guy decides to ask you, or me, what do you bring to the table in a relationship? And if you can't say any of those traditional traits, those attributes Chris and I have just pretty much established a baseline on, and you just say, oh, well, I can make you laugh, I can do this, I can do that, I can listen to the same music as you, I'm pretty, okay. You see those 10 other girls, probably 100 other girls right behind you? What makes you think those other girls can't give me the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
And this is for you gentlemen, like, you are the one vetting her. She's vetting you too, of course, but as I said before, you shouldn't be worrying if she's gonna like you or not, because she's already committed to the date with you. You have to worry if you're gonna like her. So she's not selling purity to you if she's not showing that she respects men and doesn't hold accountability for herself because maybe she talks about like a past, a trauma, and doesn't own up to it. You've got a headache coming on. You've got a big headache coming to you, okay? So just understand, like, women, just check yourselves a little bit. Men have to check themselves also, but women definitely have to, because you gotta understand that there's a lot of women. There are a lot of women who are very mediocre with their behaviors and their patterns. So you really gotta stand out. It's harder. I think it's harder. It's much harder for women to stand out, especially with the statistics I just showed. It's much harder for you guys to stand out. So if you guys have maintained value, keep the value. But for the ones who've lost value and you're trying to find ways to sell something that's not purity, it's going to be tougher for you. At least to lock down a guy for sure who's going to commit to you and even be monogamous. So that is it, guys, okay? That's pretty much it. These are the things, all right? These are going to be some of the things, and how much did we talk about? We talked like 6 or 7, 10 different things.
A lot.
These are habits in which destroy women in the dating marketplace. Hope you guys enjoyed. Always feel free to reach out to us. If you ever want to talk about certain topics with us in our chat, live chat, Discord, IG, message us, all right? The Unplugging. This is with Chris. This is with Leo. And we are signing out.
All right, guys. See ya.